Hi, welcome to the Peaceful Home. Today we're continuing in our series of how to help kids be responsible with money, and we're going to talk about chores and allowances. And if you're new here, I'm TeresaElling, and I have been a parenting coach for over 20 years. And I would estimate that of all of the parenting classes I have taught, parents I've talked to one-on-one and done coaching with, I would estimate that 80% of parents do not have a chore system in place for their children. Now, this is huge. This is a very high number, and this means not only are you not getting help at home with housework, but it also means that your children aren't learning how to be responsible and get things done around the house. They're not being trained in household chores. You are your child's first employer, their first boss, and they're going to learn a lot about work ethics from you. Now, for some of you, you will finish this video and hopefully hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already, and you will go and make up a plan for chores. And others of you will go, that's a great idea, I still don't know how to start. There are so many things online, so many things that are even on YouTube, on Pinterest, that you can search, chore charts that you can buy if you really don't want to hassle with making your own. Well, this is practically an antique. This is one of the very first chore charts that I made when I had 4 children. And each week we would spin in the direction of the arrows, and the children would have new chores each week. And I also had pictures next to them because the kids were so little, most of them weren't reading yet. Now this one was when I had my youngest 4 at home, and again the chores would rotate every week. The girls all did their own laundry, so you would notice that each one had a different day for laundry. And these were just their one chore of the day, and they were not paid for these chores. That was part of their allowance. Same with these chores as well. And then I had a separate list for paying jobs. Here's a list of chores appropriate for different age groups, and this can be really helpful. I do plan on, at the first of the year, going through cleaning routines, and that would include kids' chores. So watch for that right after the holidays. This could be as simple as writing down one chore per day, and there's nothing else on the list. Start small, build up, and make it work for your family. You will have to tweak this and alter it constantly. Now, a main reason for that is because your children are constantly growing. They're learning, they're growing up, they're gaining new skills. And so what they can do now is not what they could do a year ago. So your chore chart is going to change. The first thing you'll want to do is develop very simple morning, possibly afternoon and evening routines for your kids. Now, while this video is pertaining more towards being responsible with money, I could do another video on the clipboard system, the check-off system that I did with my kids, and how that really helped them be responsible with their time as well. If you're interested in that video, would you comment below and let me know? What is important about a morning and evening routine is you are listing out the expectations that you have of your children. Now remember, you cannot discipline or punish your children for something you haven't trained them in. So don't be mad and frustrated when they aren't doing things if you haven't laid out the expectations, if you don't have very clear guidelines and consequences if the expectations aren't met. Now, what you're establishing with these routines are the things that your child is expected to do because they're a member of your family. So you don't get paid for doing the dishes. They don't get paid for making their bed. You might want to sit down and do a quick little list of what you feel like your kids should be responsible for because they exist on the planet, and what they should be paid for in your home. And that can vary from family to family. One family may decide washing dishes, everybody that eats in this family washes dishes. Well, another family might decide, hey, we have a big family, the way we divide chores, that's actually a paid chore if you choose to wash dishes. An example of some of the basic personal responsibilities would be making your bed and cleaning your room, getting dressed and putting clothes away, hair and teeth, and your quick chore in the bathroom. Now, my kids each had a chore every morning in the bathroom. I can talk about that in another video as well, but that was part of being in our family. They were not paid for that. Let's say in the evening, they have one kitchen chore that they do. Again, it's a responsibility, it's not paid for. That could be something they do every day or something they rotate with siblings. Also a bedroom check where you're checking to make sure their room is clean. If you have missed my series on helping kids be organized, especially the clean room video, I'll list that below. That one is really important. And in it, I talk about the importance of having your children clean their room every day as opposed to once a week or whenever you decide. Make sure to check that out. So back to whatever the evening routines are, being in bed on time or brushing teeth again or whatever it is. Those are the things that you expect your children to do, again, because they live on the planet, they're part of your family. These are the ways that they are learning to be personally responsible. There are a couple of ways that you can choose an allowance for your kids. You can base it on their age and have it something where it goes up as they get older. For quite a while, our children earned half their age a week. I think that's what we did. So for an 8-year-old, they would get $4 a week or $16 a month. Now, that was 30 years ago. So, times have changed. You want to make sure that you are keeping up with inflation. But the other way to figure out allowance is to look at what you do expect your children to buy. So maybe you don't expect them to buy their own clothes or their food or to pay for your vacation, but everything else you want them to purchase. Toys, books, games, video games, movies, board games, whatever you can think of. Bicycles, sports things, whatever they love to do, those are the things that you can have them save up and invest in their own hobbies. So I might look at the week and say, in a week's time, if my child were to buy a special drink when we go out, that's $6. And if they were going to buy a birthday gift for a friend, maybe that's $10. If they want to buy a pack of gum, that's $1 or $2. And just kind of look at, how does your week flow? What makes sense as far as how much money your children should have? You might decide, you know what? We've gone out for donuts every Sunday as a family, and we're going to continue to do that, and mom and dad pay. Or you might decide, some of my kids care about donuts, others don't. So maybe you decide, hey, we're going to have breakfast before we leave, but we'll go by the donut shop on the way to church. And if you want a donut, you're free to buy one for yourself. These are just ideas, things that are popping in my head right now. And I'm sure you can come up with things specific to your family. Maybe you go to baseball games every weekend, and normally you're the one buying your children treats and things. This actually would be another rule. Our kids did have to ask before they bought sugary snacks. So they could not spend all their allowance on just a bunch of candy. We didn't allow that. But maybe you say, hey, you could buy one treat at the baseball game, but they do it with their own money. So once you look at it and you say, well, I think my child, would use $8 a week or $10 a week, whatever it is, then base the allowance on that. I strongly encourage you to give allowance weekly. You need this reinforcement for children. Sometimes you can even pay for chores daily, like as they do them. And I'm not talking about their responsibilities, they're paying chores, just to get them in the routine and the habit of, I do this work and I get my reward, I get paid. But weekly is fine, but just don't stretch it out to every other week or monthly. I think it's too long of a time, especially for children. Teenagers could probably go to every other week, no problem. I just realized that this video is a lot longer than I thought, so I'm going to cut it right here, and I will continue with the part 2 where we'll talk more about chores and what we had our children do with their money once they got it. I hope to see you at that next video. Thanks for joining me today on The Peaceful Home.